What are you hoping that people who read this book get out of your story and your relationship with your father?
Well, hopefully it's inspiration. I'm here from Fort Wayne, and a lot of kids come up from a single-parent home or may have some type of struggle in their life. And throughout the book, I was faced with so much adversity, and I persevered through it all. I lost my best friend in 2005. I lost my grandmother in my first year in college. I talk about, and I lost my dad when I was 16. When I was overseas, I was in a country in Macedonia where no one spoke English. I had no TV, I had no internet, I had no phone, and I stayed there and stayed strong. I prayed every day, and God made a way for me.
Let's talk a little bit about your career overseas. You played all over the place. What was that initial adjustment like, coming from college, coming from an environment where you were comfortable to, thousands of miles from home, trying to start your career?
Right. It's a huge adjustment, because when you're in the States, everything is pretty much catered to you. You're in college, you have the best locker rooms, you have TVs, you have the best trainers, and some countries in Europe it's not the same. You go to a third world country like Macedonia, former Yugoslavia, things are much different. The trainer don't come every day. You have to tape your own ankles. The gym, you have people drinking and smoking inside the gym, so you're not playing in the best arenas. And so it's a huge adjustment, not even with basketball, but just in general in life. I had no heat. My heat ran off pellets, and so if you run out of pellets, you run out of heat. So it's different. The restaurants, they serve only 4 or 5 items per day, so you're not like you're going to Applebee's and you can pick up a menu with 50 different things on there. Either you're gonna eat these 5 things or you're gonna go home and fix something to eat yourself. So just the lifestyle is different. It's a transportation system instead of everyone driving cars, so you're hopping on different shuttles and everything to get around, and a lot of people just walk. So it was just a huge adjustment from being in the States, watching American TV, to going overseas, not understanding nothing that it was even in your language.
Now, there have been stories in the past, not in every country, but certainly there have been stories where American players aren't as welcomed in certain countries overseas. Did you ever run into any of that during your career?
Well, I was pretty much welcome in all the 8 countries I played in, but I had some different setbacks. My first year out when I was in Macedonia, we was playing our rival team, and I was the only American on the court. And so actually it was funny. I was sitting on this end on the timeout, and the team was sitting on this end, and all I can hear is bing, bing. They're throwing pellets, rocks at me, making monkey sounds, and everyone's booming every time I walk on the court, and it was quite different. Growing up in Fort Wayne, Indiana is the basketball capital of the world, so it was quite a difference to get adjusted to that. But in France, it wasn't too bad. You fit right in. Switzerland, it ins and outs depends on where you go, but that Macedonia, it was quite different.
What kept you going through moments like that? Obviously, you're chasing your dream, but were there ever points where you said, it's simply not worth it to go through this?
I think my dad, dealing with the death of my dad and taking care of him at a young age, I think if you can go through that, you can live through anything. And everything else is kind of minor setbacks. And some people are like, man, it's something, you got a cold heart. No, because if you walked in my footsteps and been through some of the things I've been through in my life, that it's all minor. Basketball is something I love to do. And so with the fans booing me, they don't know me. So if I was on the opposite team, they'll love me, and that's the way I think. So once I'm between the court, I'm between the lines, I'm focused, and I'm just persevering through all the adversity. And that's one thing I think about the book. I think young kids, it should inspire them. It don't matter if you're in your work field and you're having trouble with your boss, or you may be at home having trouble with your mom. I try to always listen to the message and not the tone. And so that helps out so much in everyday life.
How important was basketball following the death of your father for you personally?
Right. My dad pushed me so hard, and I mean he touched so many people around here, and I was a sophomore when my dad died, going into my junior year, and I really worked hard because there's 2 ways when someone that close to you die. Either you can feel sorry for yourself and fall down, or you can fight through and remember everything he told me. And one thing my dad left me was 2 words: son, always be self-motivated and always be self-disciplined. Disciplined enough to get up on time and motivated enough to work hard at your craft. And that's what I did. I went from averaging 10 or 11 points as a sophomore to 24 points a game as a junior. I worked hard in the weight room, and I ran more, because I knew that's what my dad wanted me to do in the long run.
Obviously a tragic loss for you, but like you said, it did motivate you. Do you look at that as the silver lining in such a sad event for you in your childhood?
Yes, I do. After losing my dad, he not only was my father, he was my best friend, he was my mentor. He was someone who when he talks to you, you got to listen. You know, you're not waving him off, or there's going to be consequences behind it. You know, he's a disciplinarian, and you know, after losing him, it was like, man, it felt like I lost my soul. You know, and it was tough for me through all the times. And even my friends, because my dad was just not a father to me; he was a father to a lot of kids who didn't have a dad. You know, and so we all came together and we became one, and we united, and then my friends are here today to support of my father and to be next to my side.
Growing up, was it difficult to be the son of such a well-known and well-appreciated coach?
Yes, it was. You know, you're expected to do more, you know. And it was a thing that to this day, you know, I'm not the type of guy that you're going to see me out drinking. I never drunk, I never smoked, because everyone's like, that's Hollins' son that's doing that, you know? And so I wanted to live right, you know, and I wanted to be someone ever like, oh, Hollins' son, he's a leader. He's the one that you can look up to, you know? And then another thing, once I got to Northside, I was a freshman, you know, everyone's like, hey, you're not going to make the reserve team. You're not going to, if you do, it's going to be your dad's going to be the only reason you made it, you know? And so they was right. I didn't make the reserve team. I ended up starting varsity, you know. And then I heard, oh, your dad talked to the coach, and you know, I heard all this feedback just because my dad was so strong in the city of Fort Wayne. But you know, soon after my dad passed, and I lived on to all the words, all the things he put in my soul and put in me, you know, no one could say anything else.
What was, I'm going to guess it was the food, but what was the toughest cultural adjustment to playing overseas?
I think the practices in some of the gyms, actually in Switzerland, it's only 2 courts, wood courts. Everything else is different, you know, so it's bad on your knees. And because, you know, if you look around here at Southside, this would be the best gym in Switzerland, you know, and so this is what you're used to, just getting accustomed to that. And the culture, like you said, the everyday living. I mean, pretty much everyone live in apartments, and sometimes the apartments are small. Even when I was in Switzerland, when I came, I was player of the year in Switzerland, led the league in scoring, led the league in assists, and I get to Switzerland, and I'm living with my teammate and his fiance. I'm like, here I am with my own home, my own house in Fort Wayne, have my own vehicles, and I'm going to Switzerland living with my teammate and his fiance. And so it's a difference, you know. And then dealing in Switzerland, McDonald's is $20, you know, for a value meal. Just the pricing is so much different than in the States. And so once you get accustomed to everything, you'll be okay.